Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mental Health Awakening. And me and Angela are joined by Dr. Dangerfield. And today's topic is entrepreneurship and mental health. So over to you, Angela.
I'm still Angela Jackson, licensed professional counselor, national certification in the state of Tennessee, USA, friend of the UK. I'm so excited to be a part of this episode of Mental Health Awakening. Specifically, I'm excited about the guest. I know the guest. This is somebody you should know as well. So we're going to turn it over and allow her to introduce herself.
Well, my name is Dr. Lucretia Dangerfield. I am a licensed professional counselor with a mental health service provider designee in the state of Tennessee. I've been practicing for almost a little over 18 years, and counseling wasn't my first choice. And so I bring in my business background plus my mental health counseling background. But what I love specializing in is working with other mental health clinicians to help them to grow professionally and personally so that they can do the things that they need to do to have impact in our profession, the community, and the world. And so I do that through supervision, I do that through coaching, and I also do it through some consultation. And then I also provide counseling services for high achieving women that deal with anxiety and depression, because that story is very familiar to me.
Awesome. We appreciate that introduction. I just want to chime in and say that I am a recipient of the Dangerfield experience. That's what I call it. I have experienced her services. I can attest to the benefits and the range. And if you know the Jackson Impact as a brand, you will know that, well, you will now learn that Dr. Dangerfield is a great supporter and a great coach, great supervisor. So, hey.
Yeah, so we started our journey from supervision up until now, just watching you blossom as an entrepreneur.
Thank you. So excited.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very interesting episode. I think for me, because I suppose I'm kind of the newbie.
Okay.
So it's going to be good. I'm going to learn a lot more myself, really, and it's going to be really interesting to hear more about what you do. And for everyone watching and or listening, it's going to be a learning experience, like Angela said, for them as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as it relates to mental health awakening, your topic is entrepreneurship and mental health. Lead us into that topic.
Well, I have found that entrepreneurs are in a space where they don't talk a lot about their mental health. Some people hold entrepreneurs in esteem because they're like, oh, you make this big jump from working for somebody to starting your own business. But we don't talk about that human side of entrepreneurship. And that is that entrepreneurs are some of the leading numbers of individuals that experience some form of a mental health, they say, challenge, issues. I'm someone that believes that mental health is on a spectrum, on a continuum. So you have mental illness, which is diagnosable through using the DSM. But then you have mental health, which is somewhere in the middle, which we all have mental health. Yes. That's a given. We all have mental health. And then mental wellness. But entrepreneurs, there was a study done at UC Berkeley, and it found that 72% of entrepreneurs reported that they had some mental health, mental illness challenge. Some of it is like what we all experience. So the anxiety, the depression, ADHD, social substance use disorder, bipolar, those things impact individuals that are out there owning their own business, because a lot of times they suffer in silence.
Yes.
Don't share the story until especially with some of the major entrepreneurs that we see out in social media and in the business world, and they either we find out because their mental health plays out in the public eye, or the story after their death, and family and friends share the behind the scenes, and we're thinking, oh, he's such a great business person, but they were suffering in silence.
Yes.
And so that's why I want to bring some awareness, some awakening around the mental health challenges and issues that entrepreneurs face. So one, if you're an entrepreneur, you're not out here by yourself. There are other people that are experiencing some similar things, and there are things that you can do because we all are human.
I'm glad that you are highlighting this issue. I shared with someone, it may have been on the podcast, it may have been in a more professional setting, that therapists really do need therapists. Yes. Therapists need that support. And it has hit home more closely since I transitioned from community mental health to independent practice. So it definitely stands true. And then there's also that space where that I say it's like a silent pandemic itself, where yes, people are suffering in silence. They feel like it's almost a hit towards your professionalism, or it, there's like a loss of credibility if you say you need to talk with someone. But it's definitely a need that needs to be highlighted. I appreciate that.
Yes, most definitely. Even in my own journey, I remember when I first started experiencing and identified that, I was dealing with some anxiety and some depression. I was like, well, who's going to come see me as a therapist if I'm over here struggling myself? Yes. So for a while, I struggled in silence, because I was like, who's going to believe, who wants to come see a therapist that is needing therapy herself? But I found that when you do your own work, you show up better. That's for your client than anything else, because you can only take your client as far as you're willing to go. And also, a lot of times our clients are us somewhere on our journey.
That's true.
So being able to have those honest conversations, or knowing how to sit in the seat as a client and not as the professional.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I think about me and Mason, we share, oftentimes we struggle with the same medical condition. And a big part of my story is that personal piece that helps me relate to clients, that helps me attract, that's that magnetic piece as it relates to actually providing services. So having to do my own work to pull them along, sometimes it's a push, pull, and a drag.
Right.
Right. But, knowing the steps on the journey, what it took, what it takes, the level of growth, the progress. So it's definitely helpful to be what I would say a servant leader. I have to be able to even attend to myself. Mason, you remember, I think it might have been a day or so ago, where I was talking about self-service. It's kind of like self-care. If I'm not taking care of myself, or if I don't think about it like that old school gas station, is it full service or is it self-service? Full service you think they're going to provide you with all the needs that you have, but it's the self-service where you don't just get the gas check, you just don't get the tire pressure check. I can clean my trunk out. I need to get that trash out of the front seat. I need my little air freshener in the window changed.
Yeah.
So that self-service for yourself, taking care of your own mental health and kind of opening up that curtain and saying, hey, I'm human too. That definitely helps us to connect.
Yeah, you have to, don't you? You have to, because like as we said, that everyone has mental health, and like you guys, like probably are the ones who arrange like your meetings with different clients, and like it's kind of your choice how much you want to do. I suppose it's like how much you want to do in a day, how much hours you want to put in. And I suppose you don't want to overwork yourself, do you? Like you don't want to feel like I've got to do this, and like possibility if your mental health or you are really struggling at a time that you think to yourself, like going back to that self-care and think maybe we could possibly reschedule. I know via mental health that another person might be struggling, but I know me and Angela spoke about this from our illness, like with Crohn's, that when you get diagnosed with something, I think you kind of learn that self-care, I think, and to look after yourself a bit more. And I think that very much links in with mental health and everyone that has mental health, because we all do. Yeah, we all have it, but it's hard to speak about sometimes. And I think it's really good today we're speaking about it, like having a business, like your own business, and I think that's really important, because I don't like especially young people, I don't think they have much knowledge about this, and people my age, I say, or about their age, because people do start their own business quite young. There's a show in the UK, I don't know if it's in America, but it's called Dragon's Den, and people go on the telly and about their own business, and you have like the dragons, like the people, and then that they try to sell themselves to try and get one of them to help them out with the business. And at first, when I was younger, I didn't really know much about it, because I was thinking dragons, so dragons, what are they? But yeah, like I think it is good that we're talking about this, and the more we talk about this, the more awareness that brings, and for a mental health awakening.
So, Dr. Dangerfield, are there certain points that have been highlighted more so now than they have been before? Like, do you find that more entrepreneurs are opening up about their mental health than before? Or do you find that there's more availability? Do you find that there's more vulnerability about it?
Well, what I'm finding more so is people are willing to open up and talk about, and they talk about it probably more from their own personal stance, and they'll talk about what they're going through. And because we have social media with TikToks and Reels, people that are entrepreneurs are out there owning their own business, they'll have conversations. So something that Mason was saying was when he was talking about younger individuals, they're more open to talk about their mental health struggles, and most definitely to talk about anxiety and depression, because anxiety and depression shows up differently in different people. And some people see it as the overthinking, the procrastination, the fear, the imposter syndrome, the not being able to stay asleep at night. They wake up during the night because their mind is racing with ideas or the list of what did I not get done. So and the comparison, the things that you comparing yourself to someone else on social media because it looks like they are successful, but forgetting sometimes that this is curated content. So they're going to create their highlight reel to show you
Right.
the best. They're not going to show you what's going on behind the scenes, talking about, oh, I was up all night because I was worried about my bills being paid. They don't tell that part. They just get up the next day and they be like, oh, life is good. But in all actuality, there's some things going on behind the scenes, but we are having more honest conversations. And I think too, partly is because also the entertainment world, more entertainers are coming out having those conversations. And a lot of them are entrepreneurs and business owners. They own,
Right.
even though acting or singing is their craft, they own a business behind it. So they talk about the struggles or sometimes the lack of productivity because of the highs and the lows. Like I said, being an entrepreneur and that journey is a roller coaster ride. You up high one moment, then you go down in the valley, then you take a
Yes.
sharp curve. So you see more people that are willing to be open and to share about their own journey. And because we are at a place in society, especially with the pandemic, where everybody went online to get, to get their
Yes.
news, to get their information, that it opened up a door for people to
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yes, yes, that is so true. I was laughing the whole way through. Sometimes you have to laugh when you can relate. You know,
Yeah.
you just have to laugh it off because sometimes it's that high functioning anxiety where I've taken on this responsibility. I'm doing all that I can to show up. I don't want you to see the struggles behind the scenes. And the truth
Right.
is, I have not slept.
Right.
When I say that high functioning anxiety, and I do, I tell people, there's that part that is the part of anxiety that motivates you, that keeps you working towards
Yes.
goals, that keeps you, but there's also that where I can't stop until I get this done. I don't know how to stop. Then if I stop, I'm overthinking it. Am I going to be behind? There's the potential of, like you mentioned, comparison. There's self-doubt that comes with comparison because you might be ahead of me 10 or 15 years, and I might really be in the right place for somebody at 2 to 5 years. But if I'm looking over to the left and to the right,
thinking that you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Yes.
That's right. That's that sharp curve.
Yes.
Yeah, like going back to like we think about the pandemic and mental health, and I feel like it's talked about a bit more mental health now than it was before. I know personally, I wouldn't speak about my mental health dramatically a lot. It's not something I suppose I understood at first, because you speak to mental health to someone, it's hard, I think, to explain it, and like what mental health actually stands for, because it stands for so many different things for each different person. Because like you say, it could be anxiety, depression, and it's hard to speak about, isn't it, like to another person, like how you're feeling and what why you're feeling like this. It could be so many reasons. It could be you've had a long day at work, or it could be the pandemic actually, and like how draining it could be, or still could be, from doing a lot indoors, depending what kind of person you are. So for example, if you're a person that's okay at home, like you're okay with your own company, to talking online, or if you're a kind of person that I miss going outside, I miss interacting with people. So it's very varies on the person, I think.
It does.
It does.
It really does.
There's this it's a funny reel, and it says, and it's Mason, it's about entrepreneurs, and it says, I gave up my 9 to 5 to work 24/7.
Yep.
And every time I see that, I'm like, you know what? maybe, but there's those spaces where you wouldn't change it for the world.
Right. You're like, oh,
You know?
I wouldn't give this up. But other times it's like, this is taking over.
Yes.
And that whole thing about 24/7, 365, that hustle grind, like I have to hustle, I have to hustle, I have to hustle, I have to keep this momentum up. But something that I'm liking, that I'm seeing a little bit more of, that people are realizing that they don't have to hustle as much, and they can take time away, or they can slow down and focus on one aspect of their business. And I, for me, I can only speak for myself, was I was so used to the hustle grind, because I was, before I became a full-time entrepreneur, I was working a full-time job, I was working on a doctorate, and I was running a part-time business.
Mm.
So I was used to that, always having, having something to do, always
Yes.
having to, and I learned how to compartmentalize that really well. Like, okay, full-time job, you get this time. School, you get this time. Part-time business, you get this time. But when the full-time job left, and then the school left, and then moving into becoming an entrepreneur, in a way I felt lost, because I felt like I needed to achieve. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. How do I compartmentalize and put these things in perspective? And the slowdown,
Mm.
it
Yes.
took, like, I went into a valley of depression, because I was like, well, wait a minute, this is so not myself. But I was trying to figure out that, what that valley was looking like. And then, most definitely, when you become an entrepreneur, unless you were born rich, the
Right.
financial issues that come out to show up, because I forgot exactly what the numbers are around how long a business really like lasts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you make it past the first, I think it's, if you make it past the first 7 years, you doing pretty well. But it's those
Wow.
that first year or two, you like, whoo, what's going on here? And like you said, the financial aspect, like when you usually are putting more money out than what is coming in. Because I remember, I transitioned out of full-time employment in 2015. And I remember in January of 2016, I woke up one morning, looked at my bank account, it had $32 in it. I said, oh, what's going on here? I was like, I might need to go back and get another job. This is not,
Mm-hmm.
like, you wake up and I'm like, bills got to be paid. I'm still waiting for clients to pay, because when you're a service-based business owner and you're not
Yes.
selling a product, your services are exchanging for dollars, and the person come in and they say, can I pay you on Friday? You like, I needed you to pay me today.
Right.
Because I have bills. So I'll tell you, when I woke up and I saw that $32, I was like, woo, that took me on a journey. I was like, is this for me? But I knew that being an entrepreneur, that that it was for me. And I was like, I gotta stick it out. And probably for me, one of the biggest hurdles that I did come up on is, I ended up towards the middle of 2016 having to file for bankruptcy. So that hit me hard, because I felt like a failure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, oh, I didn't do this well. But once I really could step back, and me being a person of faith, I was able to see that was actually my opening to freedom in that
Mm.
area. But I had to work through, like, the anxiety
Yes.
that comes along
Yes.
with that, and the sadness, the feeling of self-doubt, all those things, but all the time keeping a smile on my face. My clients would have never
Yes.
known what was going on, even when they said they couldn't pay. Okay, Friday it is. We sitting there, but the whole time I'm
Yes.
like, I needed that, but you know,
Yes.
I was like, I needed that money, and I need you. If you're gonna pay on Friday, I need you to pay on Friday. I don't need you. But
Right.
those things like I still have needs. I still have my own needs, but it's like you sitting up there, yeah, that's good. See, see you next week. You know, but putting up that facade, like everything is okay. I'm gonna be okay. Everything, and it did work out. And but finding some resources and some tools within the community, because being an entrepreneur, especially when you're a solo entrepreneur, it can be
Yes.
isolating. And so you're thinking you're doing this all by yourself, and you like, I gotta run this business by myself. And there's not, and usually in some cases your friends are not entrepreneurs. They go into their day job every day. They're not, but you're like, okay, I'm an entrepreneur. Who else is out here with me? But
Yes.
something that helped me was I started becoming part of business incubator groups. And those usually last somewhere from 10 weeks to a year. So I would be in the room with other entrepreneurs, hearing their story, hearing their journey to help get me moving
Yes.
forward. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That that's awesome that you shared your story about the bankruptcy part. That level of disclosure is huge. I participated in a training, and just to hear that as an entrepreneur, you should have a relationship with
With your
failure.
banking. With fail. Oh yeah.
And I was like, that makes me anxious. Starting out a new business, that makes me anxious in general, because in my mind, my goal was to avoid failure, not just to show up, but I got to have everything in order. I got to keep this going. And, but then there's some things that you learn along the way. And it's like, I can see how I would do that differently next time. I can see how I might plan ahead next time. I can see I might tell that person, I have to add an additional fee because it's late.
Right.
It's time really is money when you're working for yourself.
Yes.
So,
right.
So it definitely is a learning process. And I do realize that, that success, as you said, it opened up a door for you to grow from there. There's that failure and that relationship with failure and success. And I used to think, okay, I don't get it. I don't know if I want to be there, but it's true. It's definitely a process, and it can. I have felt isolated, like where there are times that are rewarding, not being able to relate to maybe different counterparts or people, because we're all hustling,
right,
at the same time.
Yes.
And figuring out how to manage things and balance things out. So definitely, I can see how that can relate to the anxiety, the depression, the confusion, sometimes guilt and shame. Like, man, I took that chance. I thought I was ready to jump.
Yes.
Oh goodness.
Yes.
Definitely.
Because I'll tell you, my first time, the first time that I jumped out there as a full-time entrepreneur, leaving the agency that I worked for, was actually in May of 2013. So the journey was a little interesting. So I was out there. I thought I left. I took a vacation, and while I was on vacation, somebody called me to ask me did I want to take another position.
Okay.
And I took the other position. The other position was horrible. It was and so one day it was like a 45-minute commute each way every day.
Wow.
And so I was thinking, I said, you know what, you have a business, but you over here working for somebody else. And so I decided to turn my notice in there. And then right after I turned my notice in, I got a call from the person who took my position at my first employer. And she brought me back as a contractor. And she said, oh, it's only for 6 weeks. I ended up staying for 16 months. But I was there as a contractor.
Okay.
And so it was my business, but I was there as a contractor. So I was able to work with that was consistent pay because
Yes.
I was doing work for them. And so then I remember I had signed a contract with them at in the middle of 2015. And because I am a believer, I remember God said, I didn't tell you to sign that contract. I said, oh my goodness, what we about to do? So I had to go in, turn in my notice. And then that's when I left in October of that year to really become a full-time entrepreneur. And then I said, like I was saying earlier, and then in January 2016, looking at my account, seeing $32, I was like, this what I don't think that was what I was thinking this journey was gonna look like. Not at all. I was like, no, that's not what I thought. I thought, the clients would be coming, they would be paying on time, that, the abundance was, and I was like, oh, but it has been a journey. It has been a growing process. I used to hear one of my mentors used to say that entrepreneurship is probably the best personal development program. Even it's not that you're going to schools for a program, but it will grow you. It will help you get to know yourself, your blind spots, your strengths, all of that, all at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah. I think actually going to speaking of schools, I think more actually needs to be taught about entrepreneurship because especially when I was at school, until about after really didn't really hear of it or what it is, what it does. Of course, in maths you're taught about money, but not really using the words of entrepreneurship. Like it is a complicated to learn about, I think, for people that are unaware of it. So it's something that it does not, like we say, schools need to possibly teach more about it, because I'm sitting back here learning myself, so so
that's all right. You hit the nail right on the head, Mason, because in this field as a whole, and I'm sure there are others, we say that all the time. Universities and programs, they taught us how to work in an agency, or they taught us how to work for other people, but not necessarily how to run our own business. I could probably pinpoint some amazing clinicians that might have struggles being a business owner, or vice versa. Or you might have someone who is able to manage or coach a team, but they have a hard time maybe teaching a class. Now, I know that might sound like similar things, but if you take the teacher out of the classroom and expect them to coach or kind of transition, it might be difficult because there's a certain skill set that is not already there. And you're right, entrepreneurship should be said more often. Entrepreneurship, what is it that and there's a group, I don't know if it's a Montessori school or an advanced class, but they're teaching kids that an entrepreneur is someone who solves problems already. And I'm like, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, that's a good.
It's somebody who solves problems. So I'm like, oh, these little kids are doing half the work for me now. I just need to write out what problem I'm solving.
Right.
That's where the niche comes in. Now we got these little kindergartners and first graders telling us that we solve problems, and I like the idea of that being a conversation.
Yes, it needs to be more conversations around it. And even I think most you know, if you're not in the business field, or if entrepreneurship is not your major, you need
Yes.
to at least have one class, like similar to what Mason was saying, at least one class in every discipline should be entrepreneurship 101 in mental health counseling, in engineering, in whatever it is that whatever your major is, whatever the discipline is.
That's right. That's right. So, Dr. Dangerfield, tell us, you've shared your personal story. We've had a chance, and Mason, I'm right along with you. This is what I call the Dangerfield experience, because there's always something to learn, right? There's always something to learn from her.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so you shared your story. What are some highlights or tips or takeaways that you share with other entrepreneurs who are in the mental health field? Do you share certain steps, or tell us a little bit about that?
Especially for those in the mental health arena. One, I tell you to show up authentically in who you are. That is, it's all about professional and personal identity. But we all came into this profession for a specific reason. And one thing I'll ask you is, why did you come into the field? And the other thing is, what do you want to be known for at the end of the day? And what I'm trying to get you to see is how you can build your personal brand around your mental health specialty. Because we're all needed in our own lanes. Yes, we are mental health counselors, we're social workers, with whatever discipline you fall under, but you have a unique lane.
Yes.
For that. So I say, when identity and purpose collide, impact happens. So what I do is I'll walk you through the steps of how to build your personal brand as a mental health professional. And then another piece is I coach you to how to start laying the foundation for your business, because most definitely I want to see us all grow and win. And so I believe that whether you do it as a solo practitioner or part of a group practitioner, you should have your own. And even for those that work in community mental health before, they make the jump out there, because a lot of times that's what ends up happening. But if you don't decide to, still build your personal brand, because that's your personal identity within the profession. And most definitely don't do it by yourself. Create community, because we have community in so many different spaces, and people are looking for what the knowledge, because as we talked about, people are talking more about mental health. So there's, the public wants to know. They're like, how can I find out more information about what I'm facing, what I can do for family members, friends. So it's time to be a voice and to brand your impact. That's it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I tell you, knowing that you don't have to compete, and there's that level of collaboration. That's what I like within our profession, is that it's not like, Burger King against McDonald's. It's not necessarily a competitor setup. It's more of a collaborative approach to where we can support one another and share and minimize some of that anxiety, minimize some of that depression. And I think that is, even without saying, that's a part of the awakening as it relates to entrepreneurship and mental health. That's been a huge, it's definitely made a huge impact overall, because you think, you see a lot of situations, or you see a lot of businesses, and it appears that you're doing the exact same thing. But as you said, there's something very unique about your
Mhm.
assignment. There's something very unique about your individual brand. There's something very unique about your purpose and the people that you're seeking to serve. And let me tell y'all, I learned about branding from Dr. Dangerfield, so I can say that with confidence. 4 years ago, I may not have been able to say that. So I definitely appreciate, the things that you shared, the teaching, and then, as I said, those unspoken points that have gone a long way as far as the Jackson impact.
Yes, I remember that conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, I like see, Angela, you're learning from the best.
Yes, that's
There you go.
right. That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, listen, when you're learning, you got to learn from somebody who's steps ahead of you. That's what we
Most
can learn
definitely.
together, but you got to look, you got to link
Yep.
up.
Yep. That's what I have my own I have two mentors that are in different professions to help me move ahead. And so I get information from them to share with those that are coming behind me.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
that's important. Look,
Yeah.
remember that, Mason, for entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
Dr. Dangerfield, could you tell us what your plans are for the future?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I've been asking myself that a little bit more, but actually, my plans for the future, one is to actually build, and myself and another clinician, we're looking to build a business incubator for counselors and coaches, because even though I've been through a couple of business incubator, our profession is not seen in the room. Usually I'm the one long counselor in the room. So I'm like, so we are looking to build that. And the other piece is to provide wellness and retreat services for mental health professionals, because if y'all haven't figured out, mental health professionals are my people. They are my people. They are my people. So looking to create products and services for mental health professionals, because what started me on the journey was I asked who was helping mental health professionals, and small voice in my head said, "You are." And I was like, "Ah, okay." And so, so yes, so those are a couple things that I have on the horizon for the near future.
Yeah, it sounds good. Sounds good. It's always good to plan for the future, even though
Yes,
it's into the unknown, isn't it?
right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think today we've talked about a lot. Like I've kind of listened for quite a lot of it, so which is good for me to learn more, and for anyone listening, having a Dr. Dangerfield experience.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it.
International.
Yeah.
The Dr. Dangerfield experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Angela, do you have anything to say before we finish?
I do want to highlight that Dr. Dangerfield is the keynote speaker for the Wellness on the River Conference for Mental Health Awareness Month. And if you want to hear more from her, be on the lookout of how you can connect as far as that conference. And also, we want to hear from Dr. Dangerfield. Tell the listeners and viewers how they can connect with you from here.
Well, you can always find me on Instagram at I am Dr. Dangerfield. My website is www.drdangerfield.com. But if you want to catch me, it's usually on Instagram. So you can DM me, follow, and I try to provide insight, positivity, but also
Yes.
questions that will make you think.
Yes.
That's always good. That is like a good question to make you think.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And as we speaking about the conference, I think Angela is going to be shared. If people can't be there, it will be shared like on when afterwards, like the conference is done.
Yes, it will be recorded. I will give instructions for those who can be virtual only. Also, due to the Wi-Fi on the boat, it's not, we won't be able to access that. So it will be pre-recorded, but then there will also be parts that are live streamed for access.
Yeah, that's good, and I think that's good. But yeah, lastly for me, I think it's been a really good talk today because lots has been learned. I think Angela, you might have learned some more.
Hey,
yeah, we're always
always.
learning. Always learning. Dr. Dangerfield, is there anything lastly you want to say before we finish?
Well, I just want to say, for anyone that is thinking about the journey of entrepreneurship or that is an entrepreneur, please get you a therapist. Have you a safe space to go and talk to people, to someone about what's going on, and to take care of your mental health, because that is your birthright.
Yeah, mental health is really
Awesome.
important.
Yes.
It is a mental health awakening, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
thinking that.
Yeah.
This has been a
Yeah.
mental health awakening. Yeah.
It has. We've all awakened, haven't we?
Yeah.
But to everyone watching, to everyone listening, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as me, Angela, and Dr. Dangerfield. But we'll be seeing you in the next episode. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.